Have you ever had a burning question about buying a new construction home, but you didn't know who to ask? Well, today I'm answering your questions straight from the comment section. Let's dive into the tips, tricks, and answers that you need to know. Hello, friends, and welcome to my channel, where we talk about all things new construction here in Northeast DFW. I'm a realtor with nearly a decade of experience in the new construction industry, and now I'm bringing that expertise to you. Viewer questions often highlight concerns and experiences that many others share. So I'm excited to tackle a few of the best questions that I've received from you guys. Whether you're already navigating the new construction process or just getting started, these answers can save you a lot of time, money, and stress. Let's get into it. Question number 1. Besides just waiting, is there anything I can do over the next 6 months while waiting for my new build to complete? Anything I should be actively checking on? So first of all, your on-site team should be giving you regular construction updates, at least on homes that you're building from scratch or that you're buying earlier on in the construction process. Ideally, these updates should be happening weekly, if not every other week. But if you're having to chase down your team to let you know what's going on in the construction process, that's a sign that you're probably not working with the best team who is concerned about keeping you in the loop. So that is a red flag for me, number 1, if you're not getting those consistent updates. But even if you are getting those regular updates and you want to be able to go out yourself and keep an eye on things, Sundays are usually the best day that I find to go out and do that. Usually there's not any crews working on site, so it's a little safer to go out. Always keep in mind whenever you're walking through a home under construction that it is a construction zone, to always keep those safety things in mind. No open-toed shoes, and just watch your step. There's nails poking up. There's hazards on site. So always be careful and always refer to your contract. It's going to have a little safety clause in there of best practices. But Sundays are typically a really good day to go. But one thing to keep in mind as you're going out is that a build is a work in progress. It is not a final, polished, finished result. There are human beings building these homes, and it's pretty rare that everything's going to be built perfectly the first time round. So the question is not whether or not you see errors, but how these errors are addressed. So it's possible that if you go out and you see that something's been installed incorrectly, that the builder is already aware of it and they already have plans to fix it. Let's say it's a structural option and you're supposed to have a door added on from the laundry room to the master closet, and you go out and you see that that door has not been framed out. Well, in that case, you definitely want to let the builder know, hey, this door that I selected that's in my paperwork is not in the home. And maybe they've noticed, maybe they haven't, but no harm in bringing it up. But if it's little things like, hey, I noticed that one of these studs is broken, or there's some damage on the corner of the concrete foundation. Stuff like that is something that almost always gets picked up during the quality inspection process. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that your home is going to go through multiple phases of inspections, whether that's city inspections, engineer inspections, energy inspections, third-party quality inspections. Typically, they don't fix things as they go, because that would require having the trades come out over and over and over and over again to fix little minor issues. What they'll usually do is they'll save up all of the things that need to be fixed before they move on to the next phase, and they'll do that all in one fell swoop. So just because you come out and you say, hey, my window's broken, and I told you that last week, and I came out again this week, and it's still broken, what are you doing? Just keep in mind that that's usually not something that they do until after bricking is done, because that's the time where windows are most frequently broken. No point in replacing a window only to have it broken as the brick is installed and have to replace it again. So there is a process for these things, and a lot of times on a new build, it's a trust the process kind of deal. As long as your on-site team is responsive and communicative and you feel like they're actually listening to you and they care about what's going on, then I would say have your peace of mind that everything is going to come out beautifully in the end. And of course, I always recommend doing a third-party inspection. You can even get those done in phases, like before concrete's poured, before sheetrock sheetrock goes up, and then again at the end. Some people even get a third-party inspection before their 1-year warranty is up. Question number 2. It's so hard to move without changing jobs. I'm wondering if renting for a couple of years is a better option. So I think this is not a bad idea on the face of things. I don't know if I would wait a whole 2 years before purchasing a new home, but it can be a good idea to move to the area, rent for a little bit while you get to know all the different cities, all the different developments, figure out what's nearby, and really make a educated decision on what part of town you want to live in. The reason that I wouldn't suggest doing a 2-year rental is just because the market changes a lot in 2 years. If you already own a home where you currently live, then you might be missing out on equity over those 2 years for your current home. So maybe it's a good idea to hang on to that home and rent it out if you can, and that way you're going to be bringing in rental income for those 2 years, and you'll still have the appreciation in that home when it comes time to sell. Regardless of whether or not you sell your home before you leave, or if you don't have a home to sell and you're looking to purchase your first home in the new state, another thing to consider is that the lease is not set in stone. So make sure you're checking for that when you're trying to find a rental. Find out what their early termination fee is, what their policies are as far as ending the lease early. There are a lot of realtors out there who will even help to pay to break your lease if it means getting you into the new home. That's a conversation that I personally am always willing to have. If it's a matter of waiting 6 months until your lease is up, or finding you the right home now that makes financial sense for you, if it's gonna cost $1,200 to get you out of that lease, well, that's well worth it. By the way, if you're finding value in this video, then please do me a favor and leave it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe if you like content like this, where we talk about purchasing new construction homes. Thanks so much. Now back to the video. Question number 3. How much power does the builder rep have on negotiations of home price and incentives? So builder reps have something called a discretion. It typically changes from month to month or quarter to quarter, but what it is a description of exactly how much money that builder rep has to offer to new buyers coming in the door. I say new buyers coming in the door because once you're under contract, those incentives are locked in. So if you purchase on the 30th and then you see in the next month that they roll out a better incentive than the one you got, sorry, tough luck. You got the incentive that you locked in when you signed the contract. This discretion will have things like, hey, you get 50% off of design options at the design center plus $10,000 towards closing costs, or maybe it'll say, hey, you have $15,000 in flex cash to use however you want to use. If you want to buy down the rate, if you want to use it towards closing costs, you can do that. But it'll give them a max dollar amount that they're able to offer to people. So some salespeople will hold back a little bit of that money in their back pocket to use for negotiations. So things like throwing in blinds or gutters, or maybe paying to buy out a lease, stuff like that. They might keep back a few $1,000s to be able to have that wiggle room and not have to go to management every single time whenever they need a little bit of extra money to get a deal done. Other salespeople will just offer that full discretion amount to everybody so that they can say, hey, this is the best deal that I have to give you. I'm giving it to everyone. But typically, anything beyond that discretion is going to require manager approval. So if they're telling you, hey, I'm already at my max that I can give to you on this, but you want to submit an offer on, let's say, a completed home, and you know that because it's been sitting there a little while, you think that you could get a little bit more off of the purchase price or a little bit more towards your incentives, then you can always ask, and the worst thing that they can do is say no. But when it comes to asking for things, I will say that for you personally, if you have to choose between taking money off of the purchase price versus getting more money and incentives towards closing costs or rate buy downs, I'm almost always going to suggest the latter, unless of course you're a cash buyer. But usually you're going to save hundreds more on your monthly payment by lowering that rate, or you're going to be saving thousands of dollars up front that would take years to see the equivalent of if you're taking it off of the price and making your monthly payment just a little bit lower. So that's my 2 cents on that. Question number 4. It seems most of the new construction around DFW is in a community that requires joining an HOA. Are there any areas that have new home construction without the HOA? So you can find these developments sprinkled throughout DFW, typically in rural areas on larger lots and usually at higher price points. So you might see something like 1 acre lots starting in the 700s in Van Alstyne or in Nevada, some of these smaller developing towns. So it is something that exists, just usually at, like we said, a higher price point and a little bit further out. I haven't really seen too many communities closer in or at the starter, like more affordable range that are offering no HOA. If we are trying to find you something in an area that's closer in or a more affordable price point, I guess I would ask a follow-up question, and that would be, what is your objection to the HOA? If it's that you just don't want to have anyone tell you what to do with your home, that's understandable. You can always try and find an HOA that's less strict than others, but that's not really a fail-safe option. It might be better for you to purchase an older home that's pre-existing, that's in a community that does not have an HOA. If the reason you're not wanting an HOA is because you don't really use the amenities and you don't want to be paying extra for pools and playgrounds and things that you're not going to use, I would say look at pocket communities versus the big master planned communities. So pocket communities have a smaller amount of homes, maybe a few hundred or even less than 100 homes versus the thousands that you usually see with the big master planned communities. And usually they're going to have a lot less amenities and the HOA will be lower. So something to look into if you just don't want to have to pay for amenities that you're not using. You'll often find in the pocket communities too that there is no mud or PID tax, so you're saving money on taxes too. Question number 5 and last question here. What if you're contracted but the product does not meet your expectations? Sloppy work, cutting corners, any way out without losing the earnest? So first of all, I'll reference back to question 1. It is a work in progress. You're not going to see a perfect build throughout, but if you feel like your on-site team is not adequately handling your objections, which that would be the first place to start, right? Is going to the on-site team, to the builder rep or to the builder, depending on who is your point of contact there, and expressing your concerns. If you feel like they're just brushing you off or they're hard to get a hold of and you're not able to get any answers out of them and you're just feeling really uneasy about the situation overall, I would ask to speak to management. One of the really nice things about having a realtor to represent you in this transaction is that they have a fiduciary duty to represent your best interests, unlike the builder, which obviously is going to be looking out for the builder's interests. It is, however, in the builder's interest to maintain good relationships with realtors in their area, because if those realtors have a good experience, then they're going to bring that builder more clients. If the realtors have a nightmarish experience, then they might actually warn future clients away. So I know it sucks. It shouldn't be like that. I personally think that builders should be focused on delivering the best experience for all of their buyers. Obviously, that is the ideal world, but it does really help to have someone in your corner who's experienced, who knows what's normal, who knows what to ask for, and knows how to communicate with the builders, and who will do so on your behalf. Even when I was working for a builder as a builder rep, I was kind of known for being that salesperson that was always going to bat for their buyers, because I really care about people that have trusted me to help them in this major life decision. I want them to have a good experience, and I want the builder to make things right whenever things go wrong. And I'm always going to fight for that. So there you have it, your burning questions answered. Did you learn anything new? Do you have any other questions of your own? Feel free to comment down below. And if you're thinking about purchasing a new home here in the Dallas area, there is a Calendly link in the description below for you to claim your free 30-minute consultation. A lot of builders won't let you use representation unless your realtor is with you on your first visit out, and I don't want to see you guys make that mistake. Whether it's with me or another realtor, make sure that you make that phone call and you get that buyer representation agreement before you go out and start looking at model homes. And if you want to know more about the process of building a new construction home, check out this video here. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.